Hey everybody, Jimmy Smith back with my UFC 307 post-fight breakdown. How did my picks do? In a word, they did well. Some problems with the card, obviously. Some issues with the refereeing, some issues with the judging. I'll get to that in a minute. Some decisions, right, on the main card, so the flow wasn't fantastic. Obviously, a weird finish at the Kevin Holland fight, but a lot to get to. Let's start out on the main card, which was Kayla Harrison versus Vieira. I picked Kayla Harrison to win this one, and I was right. She wins by unanimous decision. It was one of those where she got a takedown late in round number one, which sealed round number one. Once she takes you down, and once she gets that top pressure going and that ground and pound going, she's lethal. The issue she's going to have moving forward. Vieira was no scrub. Vieira was a really good benchmarker for her and where she is in the division, and she's probably next in line for the title shot no matter what Juliana Peña wants. I don't see Amanda Nunes coming back anytime soon. But the idea that I saw the issues that are going to be a problem for Kayla Harrison moving forward. What it is her build. And all those pictures, of course, of her weighing in and people focused on her arms and they're gigantic. She's just built like a freight train. No one with her build is going to strike efficiently. She's just not going to be loose and smooth and have snap to her strikes. She can hit with power, but that explosiveness and that strength that she has doesn't make for a fighter that's real fluid. It doesn't make for a striker that's very, very efficient when it comes to the tactical parts of striking. So what we saw in this fight is when she had to strike for extended periods of time, she uses a lot of energy. It's just, it's hard to make a muscle car, into the kind of car that can go long distances and not burn a lot of fuel. You can't have everything. And so the problem is her striking is rudimentary. It's not bad, but she doesn't do it fluidly and efficiently. So in long fights, a 5-rounder against somebody who can ride her out on the ground, meaning you take her down, you land the ground and pound, but you survive and you get back to the feet, you can wear her down. That's what Larissa Pacheco did in her one loss. Is Kayla did take her down effectively. It wasn't that Larissa Pacheco kept her from taking her down the whole time. It's when she stopped the takedown, was able to get up, or when she was in bad positions, able to get back to her feet, Kayla Harrison got really tired because she just can't stand and kickbox efficiently. She's not built to do that. So, you see the problem she might have in a long, difficult fight with a striker who's able to ride her out on the ground. The other side of it is if I'm Mike Brown, who's her coach at American Top Team, it's kind of good that her striking isn't that efficient because too many fighters, like Ronda Rousey, for example, fall in love with their striking and think they're Sugar Ray Robinson and get away from the fundamentals that got them there. You want to be good at everything. There are only so many hours in the day for you to be great at things. And if you make her a fluid striker, number one, you're fighting against her build. You're fighting against the fact that she's just all muscle, and it's very difficult for somebody built like that to be a great striker. Number two, you are kind of training her to get away from what she's great at, which is to take down the ground and pound. So you want her to be good enough that she doesn't get overwhelmed on the feet. She needs to be a little more fluid when it comes to striking to the takedown because she kind of does one or the other, which she has to kind of blend them together a little better. Mackenzie Dern has that problem. She's either kickboxing or trying to take you down, and it's really obvious when she goes from one to the other. She doesn't have, what GSP was so great at wasn't that his takedown was that great. It was good, but he was like, boom, jab right into the takedown. You never saw it coming. He would set you up with a 1-2. When you countered, he would go for the takedown. He was very good at disguising his takedown. Kayla Harrison needs to get better at that if she's going to, A, be champion, and B, have a long title run as champion. So she did win, but you did see the things she needs to work on at the gym. Hopefully she gets them fixed for her next fight. But Kayla Harrison, unanimous decision over Vieira. Roman Dolidze over Kevin Holland. This was a weird one where Dolidze was doing well in the fight. He was winning, but they got in this scramble position, and Kevin Holland's arm got kind of overextended above his head, and he ended up pulling a rib out. And I obviously don't know the ins and outs of it exactly, but I've had issues with my thoracic spine so that there are problems with the connecting here in the front, and it really hurts if it pops out. And it looked like that kind of thing was kind of pushing on that area. Don't know exactly what happened, but end of round number one, his team calls it. Sucks that it happened, the injury, but I picked against Kevin Holland because of that inconsistency, and Roman Dolidze just looked solid. Just, good stand-up, good takedown, good ground and pound. Jiu-jitsu looked good. So Kevin Holland was on the defensive kind of from the beginning before the scramble happened. So, yeah, I would have liked to see it go on longer. I would like to see more of what both guys had. But I picked against Kevin Holland because I feel that he is inconsistent in fights and between fights, just up and down in terms of his performances during a fight and in between fights. So that's going to keep him from being truly great. Is Roman Dolidze going to be truly great? I don't know. He's certainly up amongst the contenders, those names at 185 that might be kicked around for a title shot eventually if he keeps winning. But it was kind of over before it began with this one. So 2-0, I picked Roman Dolidze to win by decision, I think. So Mario Bautista over Jose Aldo, split decision win for Mario Bautista. A lot of criticism around this fight. Number one, I thought the right guy won. I don't think the decision was bad necessarily. Now, you can argue all day that Jose Aldo won. It was a close fight. If it had gone to Jose Aldo, I wouldn't be upset about it. But the idea that he held Jose Aldo up against the fence too long, referee didn't break him up enough. Referee was Mike Beltran, who is typically a very, very good referee. If I'm Bautista, I'm like, well, it's not my job to ref the fight. If I can keep Jose Aldo up against the fence and kind of land little pot shots and do little stupid stuff and win rounds, I'm going to do that. It's a referee's job to break us up. Now, of course, Dana White, critical of the referee. I get his point. Maybe he could have done more to separate the fighters and get a little more action going. But as far as Bautista goes, I'm not going to ice skate uphill. I'm not going to do something difficult if I don't have to. So I don't put it on him at all. Another thing is it's part insult, part compliment to say that Jose Aldo, man, he still has it. He is probably 70% of what he was in his prime. Okay? It's an insult when people go, man, he's still Jose Aldo. No, he's not. The old Jose Aldo, he eats Bautista for breakfast, man. He just destroys him. Leg kick isn't really there. The dynamic movement isn't really there. His punches are still good. They don't have the snap they used to when he was the king at 145 pounds. So it's kind of an insult to say that he's still, man, Jose Aldo still got it. No, he doesn't really have it. He has about 70% of it. It's a compliment that 70% of Jose Aldo is still a damn good fighter, which he is. But without the leg kick, without the footwork, his clinch game used to be really, really good. His body shots on the inside used to be really, really good. All those things that would have negated the game plan of Bautista weren't there. You couldn't just push Jose Aldo into the fence in his prime. His footwork was too good. And you'd be eating leg kicks going in, and he would angle out as your leg went out on you. If you did get into the clinch, he had a great tie plum and knees, and you'd eat a flying knee, or once you were inside, you had good body shots. None of that was there. So this game plan of Bautista that people are critical of, understandably, wouldn't have worked against a prime Jose Aldo. So should the referee have done a little bit more? You could argue that, although Mike Beltran, once again, a very, very good referee. Do you disagree with the decision? No, I don't. But once again, it was a close fight. So if I were sitting here talking about Jose Aldo winning a decision, I wouldn't be upset about that. But I thought Bautista won the fight. Where does Jose Aldo go? It's an interesting question, because what is he here to do? I don't think he's going to be a title contender. He's out of the top 10 now. He's not getting back to a title shot anytime soon. Are there some novelty fights? Him against Dominic Cruz has been in the works forever. We've talked about that fight. Okay, so people will still pay him to fight, but he won't be anywhere near a title. Is that good enough for him at this point in his career? Only he can tell you that. The problem with Jose Aldo is people will still pay him to fight. So he'll always be able to make money. But does he want to still keep doing it? That is the question. When title contention is no longer a possibility for him, only he can answer that. He didn't take the kind of damage where I'm worried about him. He doesn't look like he's shot to the point where I'm worried about him, but that happens very quickly. So it's always good to stop before that point. So we'll see what the future holds for him. But Bautista getting the win puts him in the top 10. There's some interesting fights for him moving forward. But I'm 3-0 on my picks. Juliana Peña, Raquel Pennington by split decision. The winner, Juliana Peña, and new champion. I disagreed with this call. I thought Pennington won rounds 1, 4, and 5. I thought you won rounds 4 and 5 handily. Knocked her down, and I believe it was round 4. Finished very strong in round number 5. In order to give Juliana Peña this fight, you had to give her the first 3 rounds. I thought she won rounds 2 and 3. Didn't give her round number 1. Now, I get it was a comparatively close round. I'm kind of old school about that. If 2 fighters are virtually tied in a round, I generally go with the champ. I thought Pennington barely won the first round. What I didn't like is when Pennington got taken down by Peña, it was right into side control every time. Body lock, outside trip, into side control. All right, that shouldn't happen 2 rounds in a row, and it did. In rounds 2 and 3, the same takedown kept working. A good rule of thumb in MMA is the same offense shouldn't work in multiple rounds. Right? Same thing in football. If they're running the same play and it's working all 4 quarters, you have bad coaching. Your defensive coordinator is not doing his job if the same play keeps working. And I thought in the rounds that she lost, the same takedown, body lock, outside trip, was working every time for Juliana Peña. And I didn't think Pennington was adjusting quickly enough to it. Now, you could say she adjusted in round 4, but that cost her 2 rounds. Round number 1, that's apparently a 3-round hold she couldn't get out of. I disagreed. I thought Pennington won 3 out of 5 rounds. But it's 1 round off. It isn't the robbery that a lot of people are saying it was. I had it 3-2. Anytime it's 3-2 and there was 1 round that's questionable, it could go the other way, which it did. But I didn't think Juliana Peña would win it. I also thought it was kind of I don't say amateurish, but it's a really basic fight. It was like bang, 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 bang. Chris Algieri, whom I work with on Pro Box TV, calls it your turn, my turn in boxing. And he's like, elite guys don't your turn, my turn. They don't say bang, 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 and then let you go. They catch you in the middle. Or Anderson Silva would hit you with a combination and slip, hit you with another combination. It wasn't like it's your turn to go, right? And if you did, you wouldn't hit anything. I thought too much of this fight was your turn, my turn, where both fighters kind of showed a basic offense, basic defense. It kind of went back and forth a little bit. Neither fighter, and Peña got the win. I thought Pennington won it. Neither fighter really like elevated themselves. Where I went, oh man, this is something. I don't think Peña's going to hold the belt very long. I never thought Pennington was going to hold the belt very long, although I did think she would have gotten past Peña. That next level, once again, Ronda Rousey, Amanda Nunes, big name holding the belt for a long time, which we're used to in this division. I don't see either fighter having that. But Peña's the champion for right now. Our next fighter, despite what she said after the fight, wants Amanda Nunes, is going to be Kayla Harrison. So we'll see how she does there. But that was my first miss. Getting into the main event, Alex Pereira over Khalil Rountree by knockout in round number 4. I called it. I thought Alex Pereira was going to win it. He did. And what was so interesting about this fight is there are times when you see a fighter losing, but I am dead sure in my head they're going to win. This was one of those where even though Khalil Rountree looked good in the opening rounds, Pereira looked so relaxed, and he was countering really well, and he was starting to get better. And you went, he's got him figured out. Even though he wasn't winning rounds early, I said he's starting to figure out his timing, and Pereira just has this loose kind of style where he doesn't use a lot of energy, and he takes some punches, and Khalil was kind of bound up with all of this energy, and he was winning rounds, but I could just see his meter going. And I saw Pereira's going like this. And you could barely see it. And I went, nah. I said, Pereira's going to have more gas in those final rounds. As I said with Dustin Poirier and Michael Chandler in their fight. It was tied in the third round. I was like, no. Poirier's going to win this. Poirier's going to win this one. It's just I see Mike. He expended so much energy. He's not going to have anything left. Khalil Rountree, once again, winning rounds early, but so bound up and so tight that I knew he was going to fade in if not rounds 4 and 5, past round 3. That it was going to be Pereira. And that's exactly what, as I was watching, it's like, Pereira's going to take over probably round 3 and knock him out in round 4, and that's exactly what happened. He's just so smooth and loose and powerful that he doesn't use a lot of energy even when he's under duress. And we saw that in the Izzy fight, the first one, where he was losing. But in the end, he has so much power because he just does it so efficiently. And the guy's got lead in his hands, and once he unloads and once he gets that power game going, you're done. When I was looking at this fight, another thing that just always strikes me is, God, he's huge. And this guy fought at 185, and I thought, man, how did he make 185? Because, Khalil Rountree is not a small light heavyweight. When they were next to one another, I was like, holy God, this dude is massive. And he's just really good at turning over punches. Being big doesn't mean you're a heavy hitter at all. He just has both, where he's both big and is a really heavy hitter with natural power and really good technique and a really efficient style. The reason I picked him in this fight is I don't think anybody stands and kickboxes with him at 205 pounds and wins. There, I don't see that happening. So until it's Magomed Ankalaev, who is the one guy I think is going to Greco-Roman him to death and have no interest in standing and trading with him, that's the only guy who I think is going to be a threat at 205. None of the other fighters, they're well-rounded, but they rely on their ability to stand up with Pereira for at least a couple rounds and win. What I mean is they can be well-rounded, but they're not wrestle first, everything else second. They have to mix in enough stand-up to get ahead in certain parts of the fight and win, and I don't see anybody doing that with Pereira. If you stand up with him, you're going to lose until, obviously, his prime is over, and I don't know when that's going to be. Only Magomed Ankalaev, when I look at the style matchup, is the one guy that's like, I'm just going to wrestle you. I have no interest in this stand-up stuff. It's going to be boring, but I think that's his key to victory. When people talk about his legendary run right now at 205, who was it? May have been Chael Sonnen. I don't remember who said it, but basically, might have been Luke Thomas. A prime DC beats him. Any of the wrestle first, everything else second guys. John Jones, he's the greatest of all time. He probably beats him because he's so versatile. He just is able to take him down and time him and all this stuff. Those wrestling-centric fighters are not the guys right now at 205. It's full of pretty well-rounded guys, but heavy on the striking side. None of those guys are going to beat Pereira until he gets older and slows down. So I saw a guy who, against a really good kickboxer, was too loose, too relaxed. His punches had too much snap on him, and he hits too hard. That combination is absolutely deadly, but great job from Pereira. So my picks on the night, 1, 2, 3, 4-1. 4-1. I messed up the Pennington fight, but I believe she won, so that's good enough for me. I'll break down the next one pre-fight. Until then, like, subscribe. Appreciate you.